Welcome back to the show, Cherries fans. And this show is a little bit different because there's been something that's been playing on my mind for a couple of days since the announcement was made. So, as everybody knows, Richard Hughes will be leaving the football club at the end of this season. It's no surprise. We made a video about it earlier on in the season. We understood it was going to be a lot quicker than that, but it hasn't been. And of course, Richard has now signified his intention to leave the football club. Simon Francis, firstly, is going to be taking his place. And do you know what? This is a very astute appointment. Of course, Simon has been working alongside Richard for a long period of time. So there is that continuity. And of course, Simon knows the club inside out. So, Franno, best of luck. And I'm sure he will do a terrific job. But here we go. This is my concern. I'm going to, explain it in all its entirety. So, when we was in the summer and we made the choice to dispose of the services of Gary O'Neill. The Gary O'Neill that a lot of our fans took the mick out of at the time. Clown pictures, you had, all sorts of things. PE teacher was a common one with a lot of fans. Um, this PE teacher isn't doing too badly with Wolverhampton Wanderers at the moment. Now, I'm not here because everybody knows, I'm a big fan of Gary O'Neill. So I really like the guy, and he is. It's been announced today as well. He's set for further talks at Wolves. They're delighted with how it's gone. I'm sure he'll get a new contract, and fully does he deserve it. But Iraola come in and signed a 2-year contract. Now, why am I going on about this? You might think, well, what's he bloody blabbering on about now? Going on about Gary O'Neill, Iraola, The fact is this: Richard Hughes was instrumental in the appointment of Iraola. He was also the man, who was, I think, quite a big part of the decision-making process to get rid of Gary O'Neill. Now, I didn't agree with the decision, and then I kind of sat back, and when we knew who it was, thought, right, okay, makes a bit of sense now. But Iraola signed a 2-year contract. Now, what he did at Rayo Vallecano was very noble, and he saw out the entirety of his contract. My fear is Richard Hughes hasn't left AFC Bournemouth to not go anywhere. Now, if he goes to Newcastle, he's teaming up with, of course, Sir Eddie Howe. And I'm sure that, that is the preferable scenario. That's a preference. He might also be going to Liverpool. Now, this is not preferable. And I'll tell you why. Because Liverpool would be the perfect club for Andoni Iraola. Put it out there. Put it out there. Historically, a good Spanish contingent, a good Basque contingent, in fact. So his area of Spain. Also, Richard Hughes, you can't tell me that, if Richard Hughes is the man responsible for appointing a new manager after, he comes in after Klopp leaves, you can't tell me that Andoni Iraola, the man who has served him so well at AFC Bournemouth, isn't going to be on his agenda. Of course he is. Of course he is. He is going to be right up there. And that is my fear. Iraola, I made a video back in October. And this is how fickle football fans are and how fickle we are. I made a video, and of course, I even said it on the tap in the other day, where I thought that Iraola's time had run out here. And the main reason being is I just didn't think the style of football he plays works. So that was my honest gut opinion, and I'm quite pleased to say I was wrong. I was wrong in my assessment. Iraola has done a good job. He's proven me wrong. Um, the thing is you've got to now look at a scenario where he has got credit in the bank. You know, he's beaten Manchester United. You know, he's got this club into a position, 31 points with 12 games to play. We're in a comfortable position. I cannot see us going down. You know, it would be an absolute travesty for Bournemouth to be relegated from this point. Let's be fair. Let's put it out there, especially when there's only really going to be 1 point place up for grabs, which is the one that is currently being occupied by Luton Town. So that's my theory on all this, is that I'm concerned now that not that it's not going to work, because it has worked. Iraola changed his style, went a bit more direct, got the results that we needed. It's now the fact that the man that employed him is going to be going somewhere else, and he's not going to stay unemployed. He's not giving up this job to turn around and say, no, I'm not doing nothing, not doing anything for the next, couple of months, or couple of years. Just have a break. I'll go and sit on the beach in the Maldives, counting the cash. He's not going to do that. Richard Hughes is a dedicated, hard-working person who is driven, and we all know he's going to get one of the top jobs. I know for a fact, he paid peanuts for Ben Pearson, a man who helped us get across the line in the championship. And, full credit to Richard Hughes for doing that. He knows, how to get a deal from, for the players. And, another man that's criticised a lot, because Richard Hughes has come under so much criticism from some of our fan base. And I don't understand it. Neil Blake is another man that comes under criticism, and Neil Blake, it's nobody's business how much people earn at the football club, but Neil Blake has done an absolute fantastic job, because he's been instrumental in steering this club from where we were all the way to the Premier League. Now, you know, I just don't agree with, and I'm going to put this out there. I don't agree with, how Eddie Mitchell's passing was handled. It was really disappointing. Should have been a minute silence before the game. Should have been, or minutes applause would probably been better. But yeah, it just didn't feel it. It wasn't acknowledged at all during the day. So yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed by that. But let's just, by the by, Neil Blake and Richard Hughes have done a very, very good job at this football club, getting this club into the position. And, Iraola has turned it around. I said at one point, why don't we get rid of Iraola, bring in Jesse Marsh? I think for the short term, he would have got results. Long term, it has worked out. So good. And then, of course, if you've seen the title of this video, yes, it is clickbait. I'm not going to apologise for it. Not going to apologise for it at all. Gary O'Neill. Now, Gary O'Neill, I think, because he's having talks with Wolves at the moment, he was a man who I think would have dedicated long term to this football club. He felt very privileged to be in the position that he was in. This football club gave him his opportunity. The football club, not the fans, the football club gave him the opportunity, and he took that with both hands. And, you know, when I met him, and everybody knows this story. I don't need to, everybody knows when I met him, what a lovely bloke Gary O'Neill was. And, we spoke about football and how he says and how many times he watches teams, and how he assesses what to do in the next game, and if they do this, that we do that. There's no secrets about that. Gary O'Neill, very, very professional coach, but I think he would have dedicated a lot of time to this football club. We could be in a situation where we've now lost, and this is no disrespect to Franno, because at the end of the day, Franno, is a legend at this football club, and I think he will do an excellent job. But he might one of his first jobs might be to get a new manager, because if Iraola leaves, there is the sense of, if we had stood by Gary and kept Gary in that position, we might have had that continuity into next season, or the season after, or season after that. S- Don't get me wrong, some of the football, wasn't beautiful to watch. We are watching a lot better football now, than what we had served up under Gary O'Neill at times. But, it's all about points. And in my view, we could be in a situation where we have no manager, because Iriola has been poached, you know, it- by Richard Hughes. If he goes to Liverpool, this is all speculative. It's all speculative. Everything's speculative. So Iriola goes to Liverpool, understandably so, one of the biggest clubs in the country, one of the biggest clubs in the world. Can't blame him. Goes with a blessing. And to be honest, AFC Bournemouth was probably always that stepping stone. And Liverpool, very good history with Basque players and also Spanish managers as well. I don't need to mention the names, you know who they are. But we could be in that situation where we've got no manager. Now, what do we do at that point? Do we look back at the continent? Um, you've got to think, we need to then find somebody who is going to continue Iriola's work, which I think is more of a niche than Gary O'Neill. I think, the reason why I say this is Gary O'Neill played in a way which is quite adaptable. Now, um, anybody could have come in and, possibly, if they're a good manager, um, continued the work that Gary O'Neill was doing. The thing is, now we are playing a completely different style. The players are trained and are used to playing that style. It's good. It's high press. Only a certain type of manager might be able to play that. And would it been better to keep hold of Gary back in the summer, knowing that maybe Richard Hughes might be off? Gary didn't do a bad job. He kept us up after all. He's done a very good job at Wolves. They want to sign him up for a bit longer. And Wolves are in contention for a European place. And to be fair, from what I've seen of them this season, you wouldn't put it past them actually doing it. This is the same Wolves that everybody was turning around and saying at the start of the season was going to finish rock bottom. So I think, that probably gives you a little bit of context of where my head is at. Let us know what you think about this. Like I say, the title of the video is clickbait. If you got this far, you probably do understand that I really do like what Iraola has done. The style that we're playing is really exciting. It's great football to watch. But if he is going to go off to Liverpool at the end of this season, because Richard Hughes might go there, who knows? Then, and again, it's all speculative. He might go to Newcastle. We might not be in a situation like that. Who do we bring in? What do we do? Would we have been better staying with Gary? Because my view at this point in time is, if that is the scenario that happens, maybe so. Maybe it would have been. But yeah, we've enjoyed what we've seen this season. But who's to say the next manager is going to be a success? It needs to be somebody who plays in that style. And those are going to be very difficult to get. Do we go in for Iriola's assistant if Iriola leaves? Indigo Perez, of course, he's just recently got the job at Rayo Vallecano. Is that an option? There is that. Do we go for his replacement at Rayo Vallecano? Didn't do a particularly good job. Maybe, just with this side, could do. Do we look outside? Do we go for Nielsen, which was a band that was mentioned several occasions? Do we go back to an English manager? There's a lot of questions. Lot of questions. I'm probably thinking just ahead of it here. I want Iraola to stay. But if he does go, he goes with my blessing, best wishes, because he's done a good job here in the end. It didn't look like that at first. I might have knocked him, but hey, I was delighted to be proved wrong. But at the same time, if he leaves and goes to wherever Richard Hughes is going, where does that leave this football club? Because it's this football club that we're bothered about. We're not bothered about Liverpool. Let us know what you think. And where do you reckon Richard Hughes will go? Do you think Iraola will follow him? Or do you think he will honour the 2-year agreement? Do you think the money might just be too much if Richard Hughes does want Iraola and pushes the boat out? And if he does go, who do we bring back in? Gary's no longer available. Let's be honest. Wolves want him tied up. Maybe Wolves have got it in their mind that this could be a scenario. And that's why they do want to tie him up to a new contract. I think it's probably more that he's done a bloody good job there and he's not a PE teacher, a clown, or whatever else you want to call him. But there we go, by the by. Let us know your thoughts and do let us know if and who you would want as the new manager if that scenario does play out. It's just a thought, it's speculative, it's not even a rumour. It's just something that has come into my mind that it is a possibility. Until the next video, up the cherries. We'll see you soon. Thank you for joining us.